evening, everyone. Welcome to the third Philly Forum. I'm Michelle Glaze, Director of Professional Outreach for the Foundation Fighting Blindness, global leader in driving retinal degenerative disease research. The Philly Forum is a virtual platform that allows professionals in Philadelphia and surrounding areas to come together to really showcase services and resources for individuals with vision loss or blindness. We have a nice array and lineup of presentations this evening that we're excited to share with all of you. As you're joining, as you're viewing this video or joining us live, we do encourage you to share the Philly Forum with other professionals that may be interested in participating in future presentations or meetings. And we'd like to hear from all of you about any feedback that you might have on how we can provide a wider array of services. And so please do jump in, reach out to us. Feel free to share the Philly Forum on social media platforms as well. The Philly Forum was started by a group of local leaders in the Philadelphia market. And we have a few of us on today. I think Laura Swatko is going to be joining us late, but our founding members are Dr. Ranju Prasad, Beth Deering from VisionLink, Laura Swatko with Blind Institute of Technology, and she's also with our Philadelphia chapter with the Foundation Fighting Blindness, and then Andrew and I from the Foundation Fighting Blindness. So we're very excited to have you join us. And what you can expect from tonight's session is Andrew's going to introduce each of our presenters. We'll hear from each of them. We'll hold all questions to the end. But when we get to the end of the session, we'll open up for any questions that you may have. Each presenter will have about 7 minutes to showcase who they are and their organization or facility or services. And so we have a wide array of different types of opportunities for individuals with low vision and blindness to experience different facets of resources through the Philadelphia market. And we also are going to have some time at the end to hear from all of the presenters. We have some questions lined up for you all as well, just to get some feedback and input. So unless there are any comments from our founding members, we can kick things off. I will pause and see if Ranju or Beth, you wanted to add anything before we start with the presentations this evening.
No, thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And we know this is a lighter crew this evening. We kind of anticipated with the summer, we would have a smaller group. But as Michelle mentioned, we certainly encourage sharing this on social media. We'll be sharing it within all of our networks. And the goal is really to get information out there about services and organizations that could be beneficial and interesting. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And I just wanted to add that I've been practicing in Philadelphia as a low vision provider for, oh gosh, a long time, over 20 years. And it's just so nice to see all the resources, people involved in such incredible organizations and all the resources come together in a platform like this. So thank you for putting this together as well.
Thank you. Thank you both. All right, well, we'll go ahead and dive into the presentations, excuse me. Andrew, I'll hand things over to you so you can introduce our first presenter.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to all of our founding members for coming tonight. So for our first guest this evening, I'm sure many of you are aware that the Olympics and Paralympics are currently underway in Paris. And so I'm pretty excited to announce that our first guest this evening is a 4-time Paralympian in track and field. And she's also the Director of Development and Communications at the Overbrook School for the Blind. So Pam McGonigle, please tell us more about your story, maybe a little bit about your athletic background and some of the organizations you work with.
Sure. Thank you, Andrew. It's great to be here tonight. I really think it's awesome that you have this opportunity to share resources because, as each of you said earlier, there are so many available. So I'm just going to jump right in. Obviously, my background, I'm somewhat athletic. And even when I wasn't competing, I'm participating in sports in some way, whether it's recreational or just fitness. Sports has been a vital part of my life, and it has helped me pretty much deal with my vision head on. And so obviously it's something that I'm very passionate about and hope that others will give a chance, try it out, and see what they might like. So there are competitive and recreational opportunities, and there are lots of local and national organizations to get involved with. But some of the sports that are specifically tailored to a person who's blind or visually impaired include, there's blind hockey. So there's a local organization for blind hockey. It's about 2 years old, and it's in the Philadelphia area, although they practice out of the arena in New Jersey. Blind Sports Organization is a small local nonprofit that provides sport opportunities to the blind and visually impaired. Sorry, my guide dog is insisting on attention at the moment. And they are in the process of exploring the beginning of a program for blind tennis, which is really cool. I haven't actually tried that, but I look forward to. All of these are sports that both youth and adults can participate in. Goalball is a sport that's specific for the blind and visually impaired. We have a men's team, we have a women's team. Unfortunately, we don't have a youth team, but if we had enough youth participants, that would be something we could do as well. There's beep ball. The Philadelphia beep ball team just came back as the World Series champions, so that was really exciting. And again, that's out of BSO. They meet in Delaware County a couple times a week during the spring and summer months. And that's basically the equivalent of baseball, but the beeps make audible sounds, so you know where to go to. And the ball is a beeping ball as well. And then there's indoor rock climbing, and there are several local indoor rock climbing studios that have programs specific for the blind and visually impaired. There's one in Radnor, there's one in New Jersey, and there's one in Center City. There are also a number of run, walk, and hike opportunities through the Achilles program, which meets on Saturdays formally out of Center City. And then there are lots of more informal meetups with that group as well. And then CrossFit's another sort of more recreational, not recreational, but fitness-oriented opportunity that a lot of individuals that are blind or visually impaired have had success in adapting to their needs. So those are just some of the opportunities. In my opinion, there are a few sports that can't be adapted to meet the needs of somebody who's not fully sighted. And most of those accommodations and adaptations have already been invented, so you don't even have to reinvent them. You just need to participate. Some of the organizations that are key on that are, like I said, Blind Sports Organization. It's out of Philadelphia. They have the goalball, the beep ball, they have running, they have youth programming. You can find them online, blindsportsorganization.org. They have great programs. They have both recreational and competitive. Also, the Achilles group that's out of Philadelphia has a great program. Ski for Light, which is a national organization that provides cross-country and downhill skiing opportunities. I'm pretty sure Laura's participated in that, Laura Swatko, so she could answer more questions about that. But again, there's both competitive and recreational opportunities. So there's really as much out there and available as you want to seek out and find. And then for an athlete who is guide dependent, whose visual acuity is, someone who's totally blind or somebody who's dependent on a guide, there's an organization called United in Stride, which is where you can meet individuals from your area that are interested in being guide runners or walking or hiking. It used to be that United in Stride was really focused on the running community, but they have expanded that to include walkers and hikers in the hopes of getting more people to be engaged and active, because although I love running, I think everyone should, not everyone does, and that's okay, but that's why it's so great that that organization is expanding it to include everybody at all paces. So that's pretty much an overview of the Philadelphia market when it comes to adaptive sports. There are a tremendous number of opportunities. There's also a rowing program, actually, which is out of West River Drive. I think it's Martin Luther King Drive now. Showed my age. Anyway, there's a program that takes place there Monday through Friday and on Saturdays as well. There are also some tandem cycling programs that take place. So it's pretty much anything you're interested in doing, as long as you're willing to do a little research or reach out into the blindness community, ask people for suggestions, I think that you'll find it.
All righty, Pam. Well, thank you so much for letting us know about all these adaptive sport opportunities. I myself am not well educated on that, but it's amazing to hear that there's so many different sports that are available for folks in the blind and low vision community. So thanks again for that, Pam.
Yep, you're welcome.
Alrighty, so our next presentation from this evening is from John Orr. He is the Executive Director at Artreach, a nonprofit organization that creates connections between the disability community and the cultural arts. So John, please tell us more about Artreach.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. My name is John Orr. I'm the Executive Director of Artreach here in Philadelphia. I'd say we're much more of an accessibility advocacy organization even than an arts organization at this point. The biggest program that we're probably known for is the Access program in the city. So with the Access program, there's over 100, or there's nearly 100 participating museums, theaters, gardens, historic sites, and people with disabilities in the city can get access to all of those places for just $2 per person, and they can bring up to 3 people with them every single visit. There's no real blackout dates for the discount rate. It's always available if the sites are open. The only limitation kind of comes with some of the theaters. If their tickets sell out for certain shows, the show is just sold out. So there's some limitations on tickets there. But it's a really great resource. Lots of sites in the city. I mean, almost every major museum and major theater is participating at this point. The Franklin Institute, the Please Touch Museum, the Philadelphia Orchestra, ballet, opera, kind of like whatever you like. You have options for, and there's some sites in, most of them are in Southeast Pennsylvania. We have a couple over in New Jersey, and then some in Northern Delaware as well. That's a really exciting piece. And to learn more about any of the Access program, you can find it right on our website. It's art-reach.org/access. There is an option for kind of like buying into the program for people with disabilities, but there's if you have an Access card or an EBT card from the state that provides medical or food benefits, you already get to use this program for free. So if you have one of those cards, take that to any museum you want, just show it like a student ID, you just get a much deeper discount. So it's good. Family of 4 can go to a museum or a theater show for just $8. So it's really nice. I think the other big piece that we have coming up, we just kicked off a new project doing a lot of accessibility consulting with arts organizations in the city. It's all grant funded, but the hope is to do 76 strategic access plans for arts organizations before 2026. So we want to make Philadelphia the most accessible city for independent arts engagement before we celebrate independence. What's fun about that is that as part of that process, we also have funding to pay 2,100 disabled residents to validate or invalidate all of the findings that come out of those plans based on their lived experience. The person who's running that program at Artreach is Danny Rose. And I don't know if I can use the chat, but if I can, I'll drop some of that information into the chat so that everyone has emails that they can contact people with. Some of the other cool stuff we have organizational memberships. If you're a service provider for people who come to your site, we have an organizational membership program that gives you discount tickets to all sorts of arts performances or museums. Alex Boyle on our staff runs that program. And actually, it's funny, Pam, in 2018, through our organizational membership program, we did a project with Overbrook School for the Blind where we paired up a number of students, professional dancers at the Philadelphia Ballet Company. And over 10 weeks, they choreographed an original world premiere ballet. Only it wasn't ballet, we did tap because the students wanted a dance that was predicated on sound. So we got to watch professional ballet dancers try to tap, which was hilarious to watch. But we do a lot of cool tactile programs with our Encore program. We do the touch tour of the Philadelphia Flower Show every year. There's lots of different things. We also take ideas. So if somebody has an idea they want to do, just let us know, and we will we'll just shake down the arts to make it happen as much as we can. we launched a new initiative called the Philadelphia Agreement. So again, the Philadelphia Agreement is a collective agreement between the disability community in Philly and the arts community to reset standards a little bit higher than what the ADA requires. So kind of treating the ADA as the floor, not the ceiling. And as part of that, we have a disability equity conversation series that's run by one of my staff members. Again, I'll drop information in the chat, but that's open to the public. Anyone can join. You can tell us what you'd like to see and how we want to push sort of accessibility a little bit further. And then outside of Artreach, I know that there's a really cool initiative that was started by a group of theaters called the Audio Description Learning Network. I think Hedgerow Theater out in Rose Valley is a part of it, People's Light in Malvern, and then 2 theaters in Philly, the Wilma Theater right on Broad Street and 1812 Productions are part of that. And it's really just to expand knowledge around audio description so that it's infused into more plays, but you might find more audio described performances at those 4 theaters than you might find it at some others. And that's kind of what I had for today. I don't know if I went over time or not, but yeah, I'll yield the rest of my time, I guess.
No worries, John. You
And-
you got right on time.
This is Beth. I just want to say that Vision Link has been working. We've been so lucky to work with Artreach for a number of years, and we have had the most incredible experiences. Our clients have benefited so much from the programming that Artreach provides, and they're so creative that if it's not something that they have an answer to right away, they find out a way to deliver that. And it's just been a wonderful experience. And the audio described performances that John mentioned, Artreach really was the stepping stone to making that happen and has given so many theaters the encouragement and the ability to provide that service. And if anyone is looking for information more specifically on how to get connected to those specific theaters that John mentioned, we can certainly help with those. We have a lot of performances connected with them as well. So John, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks again, John. It's awesome to see that there's accessibility movements in the art space, since that's not something that I hear of very often. So it's awesome that those services are available in the Philadelphia area. Okay, on to our next presentation. Our next presentation is from Aimee Thrasher-Hanson. Aimee is a library supervisor at the Free Library of Philadelphia, which offers a plethora of free services that aim to advance literacy, guide learning, and inspire curiosity. Aimee, please tell us more about the Free Library of Philadelphia and some of the services that are beneficial for our blind and low vision community.
Thank you so much, Andrew. You pretty much already introduced me, so I won't have to do that part. I did want to just start off with a little bit of information about how we're set up, because I know a lot of people get kind of confused. So we're part of the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled, which is part of the Library of Congress. So this is a federal program, and they administer a free national library program that provides Braille and recorded material to people who cannot see what we consider regular print or handle print materials. So the National Library Service came into being in 1931. Our library in Philadelphia is much older than that. We are partnered with the Pittsburgh Library, who also is much older than the National Library Service. So in 1931, an act of Congress created this service, and because Pittsburgh and Philadelphia were already existed, we became part of that original 17 libraries. So basically now, through the years, this program has expanded. Originally, it was just for blind adults. It was really for veterans who had returned from war, who had injuries from shrapnel. And then just over the years, we've included more and more people into this. And the latest is in 2016, we were able to provide what we're calling our ZooMax eBraille reading device. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, the NLS program is funded by Congress, and all of those books and materials come to us from the National Library Service. But we also have a special agreement with the Postal Service to also be able to provide this material free through the mail, back and forth, which is great. And what they do is every state and territory in the US has this service, but NLS allows every state to administer the service however we decide to administer it. So in Pennsylvania, we have 2 libraries. We have Pittsburgh, we have Philadelphia. A state like New Jersey just has 1 library. It really depends on the state. And I just bring that up because it is a national service. So even if you have if you know someone that's not in Pennsylvania, we can easily connect them with the appropriate library for the service. So again, we are a network library that's part of NLS, and we basically in 2020, we renamed or rebranded as LAMP, Library of Accessible Media for Pennsylvanians, and we handle the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for this service. Again, Philadelphia, we're on Spring Garden. Pittsburgh is on Baum Boulevard, if you're familiar with Pittsburgh. And that we serve Pennsylvanians with temporary or permanent low vision, blindness. It could be physical, perceptual, or reading disability that prevents them from what we consider standard print. So we usually say newspaper print. So if you need 14-point or larger, then you're eligible for the service. Again, a biggie is this is for temporary or permanent. So it could be that you've had surgery and that you need the service just temporarily, and we do offer that. So keep that in mind. So some of the things that we loan, I think everybody knows that we loan Braille. We have Braille books and magazines, fiction, nonfiction for all ages. We have embossed Braille, which is going out in boxes through the mail. We also have print Braille, which are children's picture books that have that are print, but they also have an overlay that has Braille. Those are like clear plastic. We also offer e-Braille, electronic Braille. You can download this through our BARD service, which is Braille and audio reading download, or you can get that through our digital cartridge. We can download e-Braille to the cartridge. So I mentioned the e-reader. We just started lending out a Braille e-reader. Pennsylvania has the ZoomX e-reader, and this is a refreshable Braille display device. And the way it works is the e-Braille files come in and they display as Braille using the pins that rise and fall on the device. We started lending that, I think it was in April, so very new to Pennsylvania. We were one of the last states to get the Braille e-reader. The reason why is we have actually a larger Braille readership than a lot of other states. So they wanted to make sure we had enough e-readers to provide. We also have audio books and magazines, also in fiction and nonfiction, all ages. Our audio is unabridged human narration, which is really important. A lot of the other services might not be. They may be AI generated. We also now offer duplication on demand. Because all of our books are now available through download, we can download the books rather than have one book per cartridge. This means that all of our titles are all available at all times, which is great for book clubs. So if we just have the 2 cartridges, doesn't matter. We can download it as many times as we want for our patrons. Also, the cartridges now, we are able to download multiple titles onto a cartridge, which is different, whereas before we had 1 title per cartridge. So this way people can get 6 books on a cartridge, just makes it a little bit easier. We also, again, with this, we loan out our talking book player, which is the digital cartridge player. It features large buttons. It has Braille. It has a sleep timer. It has built-in audio instructions. So it's really very user-friendly, very easy to use. But people are still using that, but we are finding more and more people are using BARD, our downloadable service. And this is available in Android, Fire, and iOS. So you would have access to over 110,000 books in e-Braille or audio. There are no due dates. A lot of folks like it because you can use the accessibility features on your own device, using the device that you're comfortable with. So this is really helpful. And but we also know that not everyone's going to have that, not going to be that tech savvy. So the talking book player is not going anywhere. They're actually piloting a new one, which has better audio as well as Bluetooth capabilities, which will be fantastic with Bluetooth audio, your headphones. So you're not tied to the machine, which will be great. Pennsylvania is unusual that we lend large print. Not every state and territory does that. Both of our locations have large print in fiction and nonfiction for adults and teens. Philadelphia just purchased a large young adult teen collection that we're currently adding. So I know a lot of adults like teen books, so that'll be helpful for not only teens, but adults who like teen books. I mentioned all of our materials sent out, all the physical materials sent out in either bags or boxes, and it's all postage paid both ways. I don't know how I am on time. I get carried. This takes a lot.
Oh, you're still good, Aimee. Yeah.
Okay, good. So our applications, I just want to make sure everyone knows that we have applications online. mylamp.org is our website. You can scan those, you can fax. We still have a fax machine. You can email them, you can send them through snail mail. The important thing to remember on the applications is that we do have to have a certifying authority. So we do have to have someone sign off that the disability is present. We know it's a barrier, but it's one of the things that we have to do because it's a governmental program. We get audited to make sure that that has been signed because we do have special agreements with publishers, and they don't want for all this material to be accessible to everyone. So this is just what we have to go by. But they have opened up the amount of people that can certify. So now librarians are able to certify, reading specialists can certify. So there's much more, this is becoming a lot easier for us. On our application, it will list all whoever is considered a certifying authority. To reach us, you can call us. We have both locations have a 1-800 number. Both locations have access to the same database, so either location can get into an account and make any changes. You can. Some people email us our titles. We have an online form on our website that some people use. If you're using Bard, then you don't need to contact us. You're pretty much searching and downloading for yourself. We do have people send in their selections through the mail, and we do have people come in person. The Philadelphia location is not a browsable collection because of the amount of Braille that we have here. We supply Braille for Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Delaware. It's not really safe for just anybody to go back there. We have compact shelving, and so that's why it's not a browsing collection currently. But folks are welcome to come in and ask us. It makes it hard to browse, but they can let us know what they're looking for, and we can try to help. We do have ways to browse. People often ask, how do people pick their titles? You can call us and tell us the title that you want. You can go to our online catalog. We also have Braille Book Review, which will put out the latest books that we've that been added to the collection. We also have Talking Book Topics, which is the same but for audio. But a lot of our patrons actually tell us what genres they like, and we actually kind of curate the list for them. Each patron has their own profile, and we can go in and say, this patron hates sci-fi, so we can take that off. Or they can also say they don't want foul language, they don't want obscenity, they don't want violence. Those are things that are a little bit different than your standard public library, is that we're able to choose for people. And I would say the majority of our patrons, that is what they're doing, and they let us know if they don't like what we've sent. So it works out pretty well. That's, I think, really all I have right now. I'm sure I missed something. I could go on and on. So think about your questions and ask me at the end. Thank you.
All right, Aimee. No, thank you, and thank you for letting us know. I didn't realize the services for the free library are so comprehensive. But it's awesome that you guys have all these things available, like the e-Braille readers, and even just using your own native device, whether it's Android or iPhones. But, thanks again, and Before we go on to our next guest, I just want to confirm if they are here or not, since I do see a call-in number. Margaret, I don't know if that might be you, but if not, we can move on to our final guest of the evening. Alrighty, maybe that's not you, Margaret. That's all right, though. Okay, so I guess we'll be moving on to our final speaker this evening. And our final presentation is from our very own Michelle Glaze, Director of Professional Outreach at the Foundation Fighting Blindness. Michelle, please tell us more about the foundation.
Thank you, Andrew. And before I start, I would just like to say thank you to our presenters, Aimee, John, and Pam. Very interesting and thorough discussions. And I have a question for each of you. So I have some questions lined up. For those of us who are watching the recording and joining us today, I'm Michelle Glaze, Director of Professional Outreach for the Foundation Fighting Blindness. And what Andrew and I do is professional outreach nationally to the professional community, eye care professionals, and other professionals serving the blind and low vision population. The Foundation Fighting Blindness has been around for more than 50 years. The mission of the organization is to drive research to find treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases. And the foundation's hyper-focused on diseases like retinitis pigmentosa, which I have, Stargardt disease, Usher syndrome, LCA, and we even fund a lot of dry AMD research now. The foundation really strives to provide knowledge, community, and hope to patients and families as they go through their personal journeys with vision loss. And the hope piece is obviously through the research and finding treatments and cures for these diseases, but information and community are vitally important. And that's what Andrew and I really want to do at a national level to the professional communities, hence the Philly Forum and other foundation forums for blindness. We want to make sure that information and resources are available to professionals so that when we're working with individuals with low vision or blindness, we can provide them with information to live independent and healthy lives and to thrive and to have hope and optimism for the future. Some of the resources that our professional outreach team have to offer the professional community includes, we have pamphlets, materials, brochures. They're available in PDF format and by QR code. And those resources can provide information about the Foundation Fighting Blindness, information about specific inherited retinal diseases, how to work with folks who are newly diagnosed, information about genetic testing, genetic counseling, and how to obtain no-cost genetic testing through the My Retina Tracker program at the Foundation. We do have a patient registry called the My Retina Tracker Registry, where individuals can set up a profile to potentially be identified and recruited for clinical research. So we've got all of that information available and accessible to professionals to share with individuals who have vision loss due to an inherited retinal condition or age-related macular degeneration. And Andrew can help with providing those to anybody that's interested. They are available in English and Spanish. We also put out a monthly newsletter, which Andrew puts together the first week of each month. In fact, it's the August issue is about to go out. We highlight clinical research that's underway, any webinars or events that might be of interest to professionals and or individuals and families. We highlight the Eye on the Cure podcast that is hosted by Ben Shaberman, VP of Science Communications, and he interviews a variety of different individuals who have vision loss, researchers that are in our space trying to find treatments and cures, and a variety of other types of guests. So all of that information is shared through our monthly announcements. We also host a number of different types of presentations, events, of course, foundation forums, but we have an on-demand webinar series that is really helpful for eye care professionals specifically. There are 8 short episodes as part of the series. It's called A Path Forward for IRD and dry AMD patients, and each episode is about 10 minutes. So all of this type of information is available on our professional outreach webpage. If you visit fightingblindness.org and select the eye care professional link, that will link you to all of our professional outreach offerings, as well as Foundation Forums and this Philly Forum page. We do have a page for Philly Forum, which includes recorded versions of all the forums that we've hosted, a list of all of the presenters that we've had, their contact information, information about when our next Philly Forum will be. So that link is a good one to share with other professionals who you want to invite to join the Philly Forum or to tap into resources in your local community. And while I'm on that topic for our presenters today, if you haven't already, please do share your name, title, company, and a good contact email address so that we can, and website, so that we can include all of your information on the Philly Forum page. Our professional outreach team does also provide information to and support to eye care professionals who want to utilize that no-cost genetic testing program I mentioned, the My Retina Tracker program, that we work in collaboration with Prevention Genetics to offer no-cost genetic testing, and Informs DNA to offer no-cost genetic counseling. And a patient that taps into that free opportunity will be included and participate automatically in the My Retina Tracker registry, which is a bridge between the IRD patient community and the research community. And the registry really helps the foundation continue to drive research. Patients are needed for clinical trials are needed for breakthroughs, and to find FDA-approved therapies out there. There are more than 50 clinical trials underway right now for inherited retinal conditions. So there's a lot going on in several different therapeutic modalities, gene replacement therapies, cell-based therapies, neuroprotective strategies to slow or stop the progression of disease, optogenetics, which is for individuals with advanced disease due to an inherited retinal condition, just to name a few. Anyone who's interested in finding out information about research can tap into that information through articles and educational videos on our website, webinars and presentations, which are hosted by the foundation and by our professional outreach team, the Eye on the Cure podcast, and there are a number of different channels to receive that information as well. So a lot to cover, and I want to button up my piece just because I want to have some opportunity to hear more from our presenters local to Philadelphia. I will give a shout out to the Philadelphia chapter of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. If any of you would like to connect individuals or families to our Philadelphia chapter, Bailey Bosselman would be a good contact for that. And that will enable people to learn about the research that's underway that I highlighted, also get involved at a local level in Philadelphia with the Foundation Fighting Blindness through Vision Connect seminars, Vision Walk, which is our flagship fundraiser, or other local events. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for listening to my little presentation, and I would like to now pivot and open up for questions.
Michelle, just sorry to interrupt here, but Margaret McKenna actually jumped on.
Oh,
So
good.
if we could give her a few minutes for Margaret to let us know about her organization.
Yes.
So,
Margaret, thank you for joining us.
So Margaret McKenna is an advocate for the Pennsylvania Client Assistance Program, a federally designated and statewide advocate for individuals with disabilities. Margaret, please tell us more about the Client Assistance Program.
Good evening, happy summer, happy August to everyone. And it's such a nice, dedicated group of folks here. I really like it, and I'm glad to be a part of such a dedicated, devoted group. I am a senior advocate for the Pennsylvania Client Assistance Program. It's hard to believe, but this past July, I've been doing this for 28 years. And, we are as Andrew said, the federal designated agency for individuals with disabilities, all disabilities, not just blindness. but who are trying to receive, get clarification, help with communication, help with finding out a little more information about services, what services, how are services, provided and implemented for the OVR and BVS organizations, the two bureaus, OVR and of course BBVS. So wherever there is a VR program, every state, there is a client assistance program. So we are section 112 of the Act, and it gives you kind of a very kind of bare bones description of what we do. And we're really here to provide advocacy, information, referral, as I said, communication, help with clarity, reviewing any kind of policy or going over pieces of the Rehab Act or the law that may be helpful for that particular counselor to give them a better gauge on services, but mostly here to kind of let them know, the client and the agency, the counselor, the supervisor, that we are a team here, is how I like to see it. I'm doing this long enough, and I find that working as a team with the individual parties is the best way. Usually, in life, that's usually the best way. We're all here for the same purpose. So, we want this individual with a disability, no matter if he's blind or if she's blind or low vision, or if she has MS or if she's a paraplegic, or if she's multiply disabled, to go out and feel productive and independent in a way that is good for them, that's within their abilities, capabilities, limits, strengths, weaknesses, that we all have, interests, and of course the labor market. So the counselor wants that, the supervisor wants that, the client wants that, usually, and we want that. So, we're here for the same purpose. It's not like I'm here and I want to try to get the client, to Texas, and the BVS counselor, wants them to, stay on their couch. So obviously, two different things going on there. So we are here to provide a different layer or type of service, I'd say. It's not always necessary for each client. Lots of clients do make it through the system, whether without our help, which, is good. The system is there and provides good services to folks. We're not here to, down or dish the system. It's a bureaucratic system. That's really the only thing that, I emphasize to people. And it's not that it's BVS or OVR. There's bureaucratic systems out there. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And they provide services to thousands of folks. We're all going to get, hopefully someday, Social Security from a bureaucratic system, which, is going to be good for us when that time comes. But, I don't know about you, but when you think of bureaucracy or a bureaucratic system, you're not thinking of like ice cream and, lollipops. You're thinking of like root canal. So the bureaucracy of it is what makes the system, OVR, BVS, Social Security, so complicated. And I think helps to, in some way, and this is not an excuse, but run down the staff in these agencies, the counselor, the supervisor. It just gets, it's quite a mammoth job, quite frankly, to manage the caseloads that they have. And they have upwards of 200, 250. I think some district offices may have 300, a little less of 300 cases. And this is statewide. There's 22 OVR BVS offices statewide. And it's a lot of cases. And once again, not to give excuses, but it gets difficult to juggle not just the caseload, the individual clients. And as we all know, two people, even with the same vision impairment or the same condition of blindness, are different, very different. They probably even have different limits, even though they have same conditions. They have a different perspective. They were raised differently. Some of them may have been in a residential program. Some of them might have been raised by two parents who tell them they could do anything and make them live more independent and courageously. So it affects their ability to, value and benefit from services. So you're really dealing with the individual with the disability, but the personality of the person and what goal is going to be best for them within their limits, skills, abilities, capabilities, and interests. Just like a person without a disability. So it's a big job for that counselor. Not to mention the boatload of work that they have to do to from beginning to end, from making the client eligible, through application, eligibility. There's timeframes for that we try to help this OER counselor kind of stay close to. The implementing of the IPE, the Individualized Plan for Employment, a very important document for any kind of service delivery for an individual who's blind or anybody else. All of the hoops, dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's that's necessary to take a client from beginning to end, to cross the finish line, so to speak, is a lot. So we are here to kind of provide a little support and some service, some advocacy, to give that counselor kind of some, helpful, strategies and some clarification about things that will make, hopefully, the provision of service for that particular client a little better, or easier, or smoother. And we oftentimes, it's important, what I try to stress when I go out and do these talks is that we're not just here for clients. We're here for the agency, BVS, OER, the staff in the agency, to let them know we are here for them. We know that what they're doing is awesome, but challenging. And we want them to know if they have questions about how to help this person better, service delivery, or what do you do with somebody, any person with a disability who's been through 5 job coaching agencies and, 13 job coaches. What do you do with them? How do you find them employment? What do you do next? What are some options? How do you get a person who's, not very professional and polite on the phone, who has a lot of anger issues, either about their disability or their inability to work for the last 8 years? How do you get them focused and refocused? So, we're here to help, counselors, work through some of that so that hopefully, ultimately, we do reach that goal. So, there's, just to get into some real, I guess, down and dirty technical specifics, there's 3 times within the VR process that the counselor is required to tell individuals about our services. That's at application. So in the beginning, when they start out and they ask you all the information and they want all the documentation to explain that there's this client assistance program that could help if they have any question about the process. At the development of the IPE, a very important cornerstone, as I like to call it, of services, and on the back of the document, there's a little blurb about us, about our services and our contact information. And then the 3rd time is whenever there is a termination or closure, or like a denial of service, a case closure, even if it's agreed upon, which it should be, or there's a denial of service. No, I'm not going to fund you for your 17th semester of school. And, that we're going to deny that. So at that point, once again, the counselor is to kind of refresh to the client, our services and what we're here for. And maybe we can provide, some insight. So they're the 3 times legally that the counselor, the agency, is supposed to inform clients about our services. So as I said, we do a lot of information, referral, advocacy. We try to give resources to folks. As I said, you're working with a person who, he's not just disabled. They may be homeless. They may be in a violent situation at home. They may have medical issues and not being able to get proper medical care, all of which affects employment, none of which we directly help with, but all of which affects employment. So we do try to give resources as best we can to direct the person. And that does help to develop a rapport and a connection with that client. A lot of these clients, they really do feel, not valued and, not cared for, and kind of, they have some of them have like a bitterness to them. So they really do need to find someone who kind of has this connection or makes this trust with them. Hopefully they do that with the VR, BVS counselor, but we do try to do that, to try to give that individual a different perspective, or, a perspective that, hopefully is something that's a little more easier for them to understand in terms of service and what can be done, what can't be done. It's ultimately up to them. As I tell people, you could, win the battle and lose the war. We do try to be clear with folks as what their options are. And at the end, it's up to them as to how they choose to proceed with services. It's not that they have to do what we say. We're here to provide and deliver options. At the end of the day, it's up to them.
Well, Margaret,
So,
we're kind of short on time.
yeah,
I hate to cut you
yeah,
off,
I'm
but
gonna-
we really appreciate you telling us about the client assistance program. And it's nice to know that there's that gap between the client and the bureaucratic services, as you refer to them, that's there for them, that supports both sides. So thanks
I'm just
again.
going to give you my telephone number.
Sure.
Direct
And
number.
we'll put all that in the recorded version as well. So.
215-557-7193. It's Margaret McKenna. And our website is equalemployment.org.
Thanks again, Margaret.
Thank you
Alrighty.
all. It was wonderful.
I think we got a little bit of time left for a little bit of Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, and I know, Michelle, you had some questions you want to ask as well. So.
Yeah, I definitely can kick things off, but I do want to open up to our audience before I dive in. So I will pause for a few seconds to see if anybody has a question. If not, I will share mine.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. Hi, this is Alex Cohen of the Philadelphia FFB chapter. Thank you, Andrew and Michelle, for putting this together, and as always, the fantastic and talented Laura Swatko. I've actually used all of these services. Margaret McKenna helped me 15 years ago with a wrongful termination and some problems with BVS, and it was fantastic. I worked with John Orr with Accessible Pharmacy, and the resources that they provide to the community are unbelievable. Achilles has helped me train for several marathons, and the audiobook library that we have available to us is nothing short of amazing. So this has really been a phenomenal panel of speakers this evening that you guys have put together. So thank you for all of this.
Yes. Oh, Alex, thank you. I'm glad to hear that you're on the call. Thank you for your comments. And I would agree. All of our presentations at all of our forums have been amazing. So thank you for sharing that. Any other comments or questions?
Nice to hear from you, Alex.
Good to see you, Margaret.
Okay, so hearing a little bit of silence, I will say I have one question for Pam. Pam, are you still on with us?
I am, yes.
My question is for for professionals that are sharing with individuals with vision loss or blindness about different adaptive sport opportunities. I can imagine that for some people that could be very intimidating as a person with vision loss, trying to tap into some of these different types of athletic endeavors. Me being somebody with vision loss who was very, very active prior to my deterioration in sight, I can imagine that even as an outgoing person, I might be intimidated to try. What are some things that you would share to those of us that may be intimidated when it comes to adaptive sports as a way to get engaged?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. And I think it's just important to remind oneself that it's okay to be concerned and to be uncertain and to be a little bit apprehensive about trying something new. And I have found that the adaptive sport community is very open and supportive and caring, and really wants to provide a supportive environment where someone who's, trying to either re-engage with sport after a degenerative vision loss or an acute vision loss, rather than somebody who's been dealing with vision loss throughout their whole life. Just don't be too hard on yourself, and get out there and give it a try, and maybe start slow. Maybe, you're not going to go out and in a week you're not going to, be a marathoner, or you're not going to be a Paralympian or whatever, but just get out there and get active. And then I think you'll find that it's really nice to create a circle of people that are helpful. But definitely tap into the community of people who are active and athletic, both recreationally and competitive, is a really open environment. And we all really are eager to share the love of sport and activity with others, and so I think it's really nice when you're able to find someone else that you can talk to. For example, Wednesday nights, once a month at Gravity Vault in Radnor, there's an indoor rock climbing. And most of the people who show up, or not most, but many of the people who show up each month are new to the activity. And those who have been doing it over a course of time are really good about jumping in. And sometimes you'll even find two visually impaired or blind people working together, which is kind of really cool. My son is visually impaired, and he goes both as a participant and as a volunteer. And so when he finds that there's someone else in the group who's new and a little bit unsure because they haven't been participating, he jumps on the wall with them and goes up with them side by side, talking them through it in a way that somebody who isn't experiencing that same vision loss might not be able to do.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Pam. I am noticing that we are about 2 minutes from the top of the hour. I do want to leave everyone with a few requests and a few items just to be aware of. Once again, we do have a Philly Phorum webpage. It can be accessed at fightingblindness.org. Click on the I Care Professional link, Foundation Forums for Blindness, and then Philly Phorum has its own designated page. On that page, we have a list of all of the folks who have presented, all of the different resources that we've showcased through Philly Phorum. So for each of you that presented today, again, please do share your contact information so that we can list you there. Your name, your title, the name of your company, and a website, an email address, all of that information we're happy to post. This is recorded. We will be sharing the recording, and it will also live on the Philly Phorum page. We really want to expand out our reach of Philly Phorum to the professional community in Philadelphia and surrounding areas. So we ask all of you to continue to share Philly Phorum with your professional networks. The next Philly Phorum will be in November. And if you have any recommendations on groups that we have not showcased that you think would be good to include, please, as you're thinking right now, send me an email with a suggestion, mglaze@fightingblindness.org, so that we can get those folks looped into our next round of Philly Phorum. Before we close out tonight, I want to open up to our founding members. If there are any final thoughts, I encourage you to share, and I just want to send out a heartfelt thank you to all of our presenters tonight for joining us.
Michelle, the one thing, and I guess we could talk about this at another time, is, all this information is so good. And I just still sit and think, what are we doing not to get this out to, individuals in the Philly area? I know we're focusing on the professionals that are going to get this information off to individuals, but as someone who's, just a resident of the Philly area, I just think it'd be so great to get this on to those individuals as well. And I just wonder if that's something we'll think about as we're going through the process.
I think it's a great question, Laura, and I think the best way to share this is to send a link or a post on social media with a link to the Philly Phorum webpage. That way individuals can access all of these recorded sessions and a list of all of the different resources. And at some point, our founding member team can discuss, we might want to open it up to the public. And by public, I mean, we might want to open it up to individuals who are affected to have them join in. But I think that would be a good conversation for our founding member team. In the meantime, though, sharing the Philly Forum page, I think, is a way to share all of the wonderful resources.
And
Any-
Laura, this is Beth Deering from Vision Link. I did want to mention that we have Vision Link has our Connections monthly newsletter that we send out. So we send this information out to our newsletter that goes directly to individuals who are involved with any kind of Vision Link programming. And we also are working on getting that read so that people can call in and listen to the ongoings at Vision Link. And this is something that we're really trying to encourage, having our instructors share during their classes, different, social events, getting this information out there as well. So in the meantime, we are emailing this information out to individuals in Philadelphia who could benefit from the services. And if anyone is interested in signing up for that newsletter, I'll drop Vision Link's website into the chat. It's just www.visionlinkphl.org. And there is a link at the bottom of the homepage to sign up for the newsletter. You can also just email me directly. In the email following, we will include everybody's contact information that is a founding member of this call. I'm happy to sign you up for the newsletter directly in that way.
Great. Yeah, and I just want to thank John. And John, I already sent you an email, so hopefully you'll look for that from me. Have an idea for something for an event in Philly that I'd love your opinion on. So please look for your email.
Yeah, we're game. We're game for like every idea. So it's all good. I'll look for it.
Thanks.
And this is Aimee from LAMP. I'll also plug LAMP. As we do have a meeting room here, so if you ever want to use that for anything, if you ever want a tour, if we're a library, so people ask us everything you can imagine, personal, everything. So we're a good resource, and we put a lot of information out. And not only our location, but we have 54 libraries in Philadelphia. So there are a lot of places this information can go to. So reach out.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you everyone for hopping on. Thanks again to our founding members, our presenters, and we will be sharing this recording once we have it edited. So keep an eye out for an email from us. Until next time, have a good evening.